Hey there, welcome to Christmas at the Schwowin's Nest. My name is Sandra and I'm so glad you're here. Today I am sharing some of my favorite DIYs for the Christmas holidays and I hope they inspire you to create some of your own DIY decor too. You guys probably recognize these trees. Yes, they came from the Dollar Tree and they are the white ones. I was lucky enough to score some of these a few years back. I'm going to be assembling one of them with the stand, but the other two, I'm going to be popping that bottom portion off and I'm going to be just putting all three of these together and making a really beautiful full Christmas tree. These bottom pieces are really easy to pop off. The only thing you've got to remember to do is secure that string that you see there, because if you start unwinding that, the whole thing's going to come apart. So what I did with the second tree, I just fluffed it halfway. So I brought all of the fronds to the front, and that is how I'm going to be adding this tree onto the first one. And then I'll do the same thing with the other tree, and that's going to make a beautiful, full looking white Christmas tree. Starting at the bottom, I'm going to use these multi-purpose zip ties in white, and I'm going to secure both of these trees together, and then I'll add the third one to it. So these are the white ones. I think they're available at Dollar Tree. If not, you can probably get these on Amazon or any other hardware store. I just liked that these were white and they were camouflaged really well. You don't even see them once the tree is finished. Now I simply took my time and fluffed out the tree, and look at how thick it looks. With the three together for $1.50 each, that is a really beautiful looking tree. I'm not a glitter girl, but I decided that I liked these little silver picks that I got at Dollarama, and I'm just going to pull them apart and then start hot gluing them into the tree just to add a little bit more color and texture. Now I'm going to use some of these berries that I did get from the Dollar Tree. They're more of a burgundy color, which I thought looked really nice against the white and silver of this tree. And I'm going to be adding them with some hot glue in clusters. They almost end up looking like ornaments. Now for even a little bit more sparkle, I have these little mirror ball ornaments, and I thought they were just too cute not to add in. So I am going to hot glue them onto the branches because then I don't have to worry about them popping off. I ended up giving this tree to my mom. She's more of a sparkle girl, so she really loves this, and she still puts it out every year at Christmas. Let me know what you think of this white Christmas tree and if you're going to attempt to do one this year. I don't remember seeing any of the Dollar Tree white Christmas trees last year at my stores, but they might come out again with them this year. Here's what it looks like all decked out. One of my favorite things to do is to look online and get inspiration from high-end stores. This Winterberry Real Twigs and Sticks wreath for $92. That's a sale price? I don't think so. Anyway, let's recreate it together. This is a twig and tulip wreath that I got at the thrift store for $4.99. That was a great buy. I pulled everything off, all of the greens, all of the pink flowers, and I took it outside and gave it a few coats of white spray paint. And this is what I'm left with. At the Dollar Tree, I found some berries, some sparkly berries, and even some greens. And I'm going to start putting this all together using that Wayfair wreath as my inspiration. I took apart all of the berries and I cut them down to size. And I'm just going to be using hot glue to apply them to this wreath. Once I'm done with those berries, I'm going to move on to the next ones and then the greens as well. The greenery I'm using is, I think it's called Dusty Miller. It has sort of a sage green effect, almost like the look of lamb's ear, that kind of color, a little bit soft and sage and a little frosty. And I thought that would be the perfect complement to these white berries. Now let's take a look at how they compare to each other. I think I spent probably about $10 on this wreath, being lucky that I found a twig wreath at the thrift store, but I still don't ever think I'll be spending $92 on a wreath for my home. This project is an oversized sign and it was a special order for a customer through Facebook Marketplace. She wanted a 24-inch sign. I think it's 24-inch, maybe 20-inch. And I didn't have a round that was that big. So I went outside, I used my jigsaw on a couple of pieces of plywood, and I created two halves that I'm now gluing together. I'm using my HeatnBond glue, which is an awesome glue, and it sticks together really well. It actually will allow you to move things around about 10 minutes after you add the glue. And that's another one of the reasons why I love it so much. I'm going to take my miter shears and some painter sticks, and I'm going to support the back also by using some of my HeatnBond glue, and that will hold everything in place. I added more HeatnBond glue to the front and then set it aside for a couple of hours to cure. Using some wood filler, I filled in the center line because you could tell that there were two pieces stuck together. There were some knots in this piece too, but I decided to leave those the way they were because I thought that added a little bit of character and a rustic appeal to the sign. Once I had the wood filler done, I also added some spackling to it because the wood filler just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And then I'm just sanding it nice and smooth. Now I'm going to tape off where my colors need to be. The sign is a Merry Christmas sign, and I'm going to show it to you here in just a second. It's got some wood stain on it. It has some white on it and some red. And this was a really beautiful sign. The inspiration was gorgeous, and my take on it, I think, turned out pretty good too. Not sure if you noticed, but I had turned the sign so the seam was up and down. There's the inspiration again. And when I did that, I realized that, my stain is not going to be able to be brown because I've got that line of spackling. So in hindsight, I should have left it the way it was because the white would have covered up all of the spackling in the center. Live and learn, right? What I'm going to do is cover it with white, and then I'm going to take a walnut gel stain and a little chip brush and very gently drag it across the white. And that mimics the look of wood grain. It's a really neat idea, and I've used it quite a bit over the years. Once that gel stain was dry, then I could go ahead and add the red. And now for the final touches. I did have to use my Cricut machine, and seeing as this was really big, at the time, I think I only had my Cricut Joy, I want to say, or maybe I already had my Explore. Anyhow, I had to just do this in a couple of pieces to make sure that it would all fit on the canvas of the Cricut. And now I'm just going to use some painter's tape and just hold it together. And then I'll grab my transfer tape and apply it to the sign. Since this is a customized sign, I didn't have any picks that I could just grab from my stash and throw them together. So I decided to make my own. And this is something that I really enjoy doing. If there's a look out there that you want to achieve, but you can't find anything at the dollar stores or craft stores, make your own. Go ahead and make it unique, make it look amazing the way you see it in your head or the way you've been inspired. The inspiration look just had a small burlap ribbon. I decided to go a little farther. I had this tan and black buffalo check. I thought it was perfect. It's wired. I had a couple of different pieces, so I just fit everything together and made a really big, fluffy bow. Then I added a smaller bow in between with that out of black and red gingham ribbon. And this is how this part turned out. I used chenille stems to hold everything in place, and when that didn't work, I pulled out my hot glue gun. Nobody's going to be touching the bow. Nobody's going to be ripping at it or trying to figure out how you created it when it's on a finished piece like this. So go ahead and do whatever you need to do to make it work. I've always wanted to be able to use my staple gun to attach things together, but the majority of wood that I use for these types of signs is usually not thick enough. So now that this was plywood, I was so happy and had so much fun stapling these on because these are going to be on there permanently. I love how this one turned out. Let me know what you think. Water slide paper has been around for a while, but it is making a comeback, and I am so happy with how these two projects turned out. If you haven't worked with water slide paper before, this will show you a little bit how to do it. I do have a full tutorial on my channel. I will link it in the description box below if you want to go take a look. So you need special paper, which is called water slide paper. You can get that on Amazon. And then you're going to put it through your inkjet or your laserjet printer. It really doesn't matter. Then you're just going to cut it out. And these are three images that I put together. I got them off of Creative Fabrica. You guys know how much I love that site. Now I'm going to just be putting them in some lukewarm water, and I'm going to leave it here for a good 30 seconds or so, maybe even 40 seconds. Once I can pick that paper up and start sliding that plastic off like you see me doing here, then I know it's ready to go. I'll be applying this to this coffee mug that I got at the Dollar Tree. I'm using a paper towel with a little bit of water just to wet it down because that's going to make it easier for me to position and reposition my water slide paper. I'm going to go ahead and start at one end, and it does get a little bit tricky sometimes. You just have to make sure that you can get that initial water slide paper stuck to your mug. Then very slowly and gently, you're going to start peeling the backing paper away. And you can see how it's literally sliding out. And because my mug is wet, I have the ability to just adjust the water slide image as I need to. So you're just going to keep sliding it on and making sure that it is in the right spot. Once you get to the end, I think I had a little excess here, so I needed to trim that off. Word to the wise, make sure you measure before you put the water slide paper on because it does get a little tricky trying to cut this when it's wet. But I managed to achieve it. And then I'm going to take a paper towel again and just very gently push out all of the bubbles and wrinkles and then set this aside to dry. And you have a beautiful image on your mug. Water slide paper is a permanent effect, but I would not suggest putting it in the dishwasher or even washing it in soapy water. If you did want to use these for drinking rather than just decor like I'm doing, then just take a soft cloth and wipe them down on the outside and then a little bit of a wet cloth for the inside. For this final project, I am taking this galvanized charger plate. Now, it's only about the size of a salad plate, but I had a bunch of them from Michael's. I also then grabbed this galvanized coffee tin from my Dollarama store. It has a wooden lid that snaps on really well. I'm going to paint this lid white, and then I'm also going to paint the interior of this tin just in between those two grooves. I'm going to paint that white there as well. And this is just my DIY chalk paint that I'm using. I grabbed a smaller brush and some black paint, and I'm just going to go around the edge here to frame out the white. Then I grabbed a knob from my stash and I spray painted it black, just let it dry. And then I created this milk and cookies for Santa's decal with my Cricut, and I put it on, and then I added some Mod Podge all the way around, including the black paint, because I wanted this to be sealed up really well. If someone was to use it for cookies for Santa, then they would have no problem putting a little napkin down and throwing the cookies on top. With the tin, I created a reindeer feed decal, and I'm going to put that on there. And I'm also going to be using Mod Podge for that. Then I hot glued the knob right on top of the white lid, added some black and white baker's twine as a little bit of an embellishment on both pieces, and I think they turned out super cute. I hope you enjoyed some of my favorite Christmas decor ideas and got inspired to do a little crafting yourself. If you're looking for even more inspiration, here's a couple more videos that might interest you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.